I think it's the strength in the shadow, the passion that we have and the conviction with which we want to share something. I think that comes with an energy and a pace that I get triggered when people try to slow me down.
Oh, yeah.
And I sometimes see having to communicate thoroughly as slowing down, whether I should think that or not. That's how my body interprets it.
One of the things I needed to do was to diversify my board of directors. I had predominantly financial services people, so I didn't have diversity of industry. And I realized what was causing me a problem was causing everybody else a problem. And that's what I call the pool. I can only access the people that I know, that are in my circle, right? So when I rely on my own network or my board to diversify, I immediately come up short.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way to do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inner Work. I'm excited today to have TD Smyers on the podcast. Welcome, TD. How are you?
I'm doing great, MaryAnn. Whether you're excited or not, we might want to withhold judgment on that until we're done. But I appreciate your generous welcome. Thank you.
We'll let the listeners decide, but we can be excited regardless, right?
It's true. I'm excited to be on here with you. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Good. Well, I've had the pleasure, TD, of knowing you for a number of years, and you come with 30 years of leadership across the military, so several different sectors: leadership, nonprofit, private sector. Yeah. You're currently CEO of BoardBuild, which we want to hear a little bit about.
Sure.
But you were the commander of the Navy Air Station here. You were also CEO of North Texas Red Cross. You led a financial and cultural turnaround at United Way of Tarrant County. So you've led some important initiatives and organizations in your career, and now are CEO of BoardBuild. So we're excited to hear a little bit about that. But what's on your mind today? What's top of mind for you as you join us today?
Well, a lot of stuff is going on. I love as you went through my background, I realized I'm a guy who just can't hold a job. I've had so many of them today it's kind of focused on leading. And that sounds how general, right? Let me be more specific. How we do leading. So BoardBuild is all about governance, especially in the nonprofit sector, because that's a focus, is failing us. It's failing the sector in general. Now, why? Is it because bad people are doing it? No, they're high-performing people who have, built great lives for themselves. But for some reason, that model doesn't work. So BoardBuild is a method of fixing that. It's one of the tools that we hope makes great governance, which then will make nonprofits better at their mission, which just makes communities more solid. And so that's kind of the underlying thing behind BoardBuild and what concerns me today.
Yeah. How did BoardBuild get started?
I had a problem. So in 2016,
that's where things get started, right?
Well, yeah, back it was in 2016 when I was working with a guy you and I both know and love, Matt, at United Way of Tarrant County. I had recently arrived there as the new CEO, and one of the things I needed to do was to diversify my board of directors. And when I say diversify, I actually meant in a lot of areas, right? We tend to default to race and ethnicity or sex and gender when we talk about diversity, but I needed a lot of different perspectives. I had no disabled people on the board. I had nobody from outside of Fort Worth on the board. I had predominantly financial services people, so I didn't have diversity of industry. And so in addition to the race and ethnicity diversification that I also needed, the gender and age diversification that I also needed, I couldn't get it done. And I realized what was causing me a problem was causing everybody else a problem. And that's what I call the pool, right? I can only access the people that I know, that are in my circle, right? That I know they exist and I have their email address or I have their phone number. And the same with my board. So when I rely on my own network or my board to diversify, I immediately come up short.
Sure.
Right? And so does everybody else. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way to do it. And we looked across the country for that way. We thought we found it in Louisville, Kentucky. And we flew a guy in who was the CEO at an organization called the Center for Nonprofit Management up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought that they had something we needed. As it turns out, it wasn't scalable and transportable, so that didn't work for us. But it taught us that, okay, we've got a need. We've identified it. There's nothing out there that's filling the gap. And so we said, let's do it. And that's what launched BoardBuild.
That's entrepreneurship at its heart, right? Is in our own experience, recognizing the need and then having the vision and putting together a strategy and having the energy to move it forward.
Yeah, energy and vision were stuff I wasn't short of, right? It was like, hey, we need to do this, and I've identified this. The issue for me was in building that into an executable model, and that's why I was blessed to be surrounded by some really smart people. One was my CFO at the time, Jeff Allison, who just grabbed that. He took that ball and ran with it. And
why was he so passionate about it, you think?
He's one of the few finance people who had both hemispheres of their brain function right. He can think tactically and about money and dollars, but he also understands mission execution and strategy. And so he just took it and said, hey, here's how we can structure it. And, here's how we structure it for future growth, right? He was just really smart about that and put the business model together. We hired a CEO and we launched it, and then Barbara and I sold everything we had, bought a sailboat and went sailing for 3 years. I turned over to Leah.
Little detour.
A little detour. Yeah. They call that a career pause now, I think is the vogue term.
That's healthy.
Yeah, sure. And it was quite a pause. I went 6 months without wearing shoes. It was awesome.
Wow.
And, lived on the protein we pulled in from the sea. And all that's maybe a conversation for another time. But when I came back, BoardBuild had shown significant growth in North Texas, about a 27% year-over-year growth in use of the platform, right? And so it's important when you think about what it is, right? It's like LinkedIn meets Match.com. Except instead of a soulmate, it helps you find the board that you're passionate about and that needs your skill set.
And it works both ways, right? We think about as from the board perspective, finding new board members, but there are a lot of people who want this opportunity for the first time, who have a lot to offer and don't even know where to go.
Yeah, BoardBuild it helps three primary groups. It helps corporations who want their people to sit on nonprofit boards. So it's really a great avenue for them. And some large companies use us: Charles Schwab, Texas Health Resources, Higginbotham. It helps nonprofits because it helps them with the problem I had, finding the right board members for their board who are actually going to be engaged and contributive. Yeah. And then it helps individuals that want to serve on nonprofit boards. And it actually has a training certification course that on-ramps everybody. So if you're a nonprofit looking on the platform, you're going to get somebody who's certified, who knows what they're getting into and knows what they're doing.
That's awesome. Do I remember that there was a group of young leaders that helped build out some of this, or maybe they were the first class through?
Yeah, we've actually used Leadership Fort Worth has put a class through. We've had junior leagues of Fort Worth and Dallas put hundreds of women through every year. That's awesome. Initially, those folks and Charles Schwab had an initial cohort that started in there from their emerging leaders group. And that provided us a lot of really smart, and I should count THR in there because they were part of that in the beginning as well. Yeah. And that enabled us to kind of learn and grow as we put this platform together. And today it's live in 10 states and we're continuing to grow its impact across the country and producing better governance.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
how many states do you want to be in? Like, what's the growth plan? Do you concept it that way? Yeah.
Oh, all of them. As a matter of fact, one of the neat things that's kind of fallen out from that is when I say we're in states, I mean, boardbuild.org is on the web. So today, any nonprofit on the planet can go to boardbuild.org and post open positions, and it's absolutely free to do that. Yeah. We've kept it. That's our contribution to the social sector.
Yeah.
Right. But the footprint really is, it's twofold. You've got people that are certified. That's the inventory of candidates, but you also need places for them to go. You need an inventory of postings, and those were really healthy in North Texas because we grew here. Yeah. But we need to find partners with influence in other states to bring that state's nonprofits into awareness of the platform and use them. And so that's what we do. We create partnerships with nonprofit organizations that have statewide impact, like maybe a statewide nonprofit association. Yeah. Or a large metropolitan United Way, right? So those kind of things. That's what represents our partnership network. So ideally, we'd have those partners introducing us to nonprofits in all 50 states.
Yeah.
But what's happened is we do have that. We have that in the 10 states we're in now and continuing to grow with new ones all the time. But we found that this is an ideal platform for nationwide nonprofits that want to have nationwide representation on their board.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Makes sense.
if you're based in Minneapolis, how do you reach board members in Dallas or Miami or San Diego? So
especially if you don't have an affiliate model.
That's right.
You're not going to necessarily meet people in that area. Yeah.
Right. So this gives them an opportunity, one-stop shopping. You can go here and you can tap people from markets across the country. So it's kind of good for that.
Yeah. As you've worked with nonprofits to onboard this as a tool, to me, it seems like a no-brainer. I mean, the nonprofits that I know and work with, I don't know one that finds board recruitment easy. So what holds people back? Is it just awareness, or?
It is. It's been our principal problem, right? Is people just knowing we're here, because on the one inventory side, the inventory of opportunity, right? What I call the demand side of the platform. Nonprofits, there's zero risk posting on BoardBuild. It's like, well, I just post there and see if I get my ideal board members. And some of them have had huge success and come back to the platform time and time again.
Yeah.
We actually staff our own board from the platform, right?
That's great.
So yeah, it's great. And so the other part is the supply side, what I call the supply side, and that's the certified people. That winds up being a little bit easier because they're corporations that want to get their people trained, or sometimes they're nonprofits that want to train, level set their own board, right?
Right.
But they're already wanting it. So we have kind of a sales model. That's the earned income side of the house. So it's kind of, that, and that's fairly simple. You reach out to companies, you put yourself in these networks, and they pick it up, right? But that other piece, it's just finding channels to let these nonprofits know we're out there.
Yeah. It seems like that being able to, because I know boards that I work with are really interested in the corporate partnerships for a lot of reasons, right? And corporations are really invested in understanding and knowing and serving in the community. That seems like exactly, I mean, you're the match made in heaven for them.
It really is. I like to say there's something for everybody in the BoardBuild platform, right? For nonprofits, there's a rich inventory of pre-certified board members that you get to search, by the way, based on their passions, based on their skill set. Maybe you're looking for a treasurer and you want somebody who's a CPA or some financial expert, right? You can search for diversity. You can search to see if somebody is a member of the disabled population, if they're in the LGBTQIA plus community, if they're you can search any representation you want. You can intentionally diversify. So it's great for them. It's great for companies because they get their people to sit on nonprofit boards, and it's pretty darn affordable for them to do that.
Yeah.
Get them certified, get them out there doing the good stuff that every company wants their people to do. And then the individuals, right? Yeah. They're doing the best possible networking they can do by sitting on nonprofit boards where people see them in action, not just tossing a business card at them.
Yeah.
They earn continuing education credits. So the courses bring CEUs with them, almost a year's worth for each course, right? So again, it's just something for everybody in this thing, and we want everybody to know what's in it for them.
That's fantastic. What's been, as you've approached this and built it and you have this passion and a vision for it, what surprised you around something that was more difficult than you expected?
Giving this away. We have some foundations who have supported us to provide this training to leaders in different demographics, right? We had one major grant that was for a fund to advance racial equity, which allowed us to bring in leaders of color to take this training and to be placed on nonprofit boards. We had another grant that was focused on grassroots nonprofits, new nonprofits that were looking to gain a foothold and get moving, right? They've been alive 5 years or less, and they had a $500,000 or less annual budget. So it's like perfect for this, right? I discovered it was more difficult to give these seats away than it was to sell them.
Really?
It still surprises me to this day. Yeah. And I think I asked somebody about that just yesterday. It's almost like it was teed up for this call. But, it's like, why do you think that was? And her response was, she's a consultant that works with a lot of small and mid-sized nonprofits. And she said, they just have so many other gators close to the boat that
Yeah.
even if what you've got sounded enticing, they just don't have the bandwidth to listen and
Yeah.
hear what it's about. And
Yeah.
I think but that did surprise me.
Yeah. Well, and I can see that because that's something we're talking about in terms of our sales strategy as consultants and doing different work, but meeting similar people is some of the people we know need it the most have the least capacity to integrate it because
Right.
of how their operations are and struggles that they're facing. It's like if we could get a commitment, if we could step in there and intervene and support, everything would change. It would be transformational, but it's that there's no capacity. It's like everything the
Yeah.
gators are right around the boat, TD.
As we used to say, when I was in the Navy, the urgent has overcome the important.
That's right.
One way we figured out to try to get around that is to access a board member and a
Mhm.
board, and from their network, they'll hear about it. And then of course they always want something to say at a board meeting, and the organization always wants to listen to its board members. So for us,
Sure.
that was a pretty good way to get in there and,
Yeah,
and give something away of great value for
that's
no
right.
cost. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, we'll talk about sometimes if something is completely free, it's not perceived as valuable,
Yeah.
and I don't know that that plays into it in this situation, but
I do. I think it does. And we've actually applied that to our model. When we ask a partner to join us from a state, there's a fee associated with that. It's
yeah,
not free. And that fee is there to give them skin in the game,
right.
and
Yeah,
make them successful. And that's one of the reasons it still exists. People have suggested, making it free or eating the costs that's associated with standing up a new partner. And
mhm,
there's some technological cost and
sure.
putting them into the platform. But we've refused to do that because people need to own this,
That's right.
right. Creating a network of owners is a great
Yeah,
way to have this thing proliferate, we think.
yeah. People that have a deep, deep need might be psychologically committed, but people that spend money on it have a psychological commitment too.
It's really true. They want this thing to win,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so we're seeing that now. It's taken a while
yeah,
for people to understand what the potential of this platform is in the regions.
yeah,
But just all of a sudden, just pretty much since the beginning of the year, we've really seen an uptick in activity in the field and people
yeah.
going, man, wow, this is a game changer. Let's get this thing going.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
For you and you coach leaders. So that's
I
another
do.
part of your work is coaching
Yeah.
leaders, particularly in transition. For you as a leader of this business, of this initiative, what's something that's been easy for you that you would say is a strength? And what's something that's been more difficult for you in this endeavor?
That's an insightful question. I would think what's been easy for me is being passionate about it and therefore being an effective front person for it.
Yeah.
Right. I can
Mhm.
go into any venue and speak about BoardBuild in a way that directly implicates their mission. Right.
Mhm.
It's tied to their mission. It's easy for me because I've done stuff a lot in nonprofits
Yeah.
and I've done stuff a lot in leadership. So that's been easy. What's been difficult is managing a decentralized team, a
Mm.
dispersed team, and
Mhm.
I've done some of that before. COVID forced us all to do some of that,
Sure.
but managing it and maintaining good communications and morale and keeping everybody kind of aligned,
Yeah.
it's a lot of effort when you don't have the benefit of seeing body language and seeing somebody's
Mhm.
facial expressions and being able to just pop down the hall. But did I get that right? you know,
Yeah.
there's something to that that's been surprisingly difficult. I'm blessed to have a smart and resilient team, so they've made
Yeah.
up for my shortcomings. That's been something that continues to be something I'm trying to put mechanisms in place to work through.
Yeah. What has that asked of you to shift maybe in how you perceive or how you approach leadership?
More written and concise communication because people don't sit down and digest novels very well.
Yeah.
So, getting to the point in my communications and more of it.
Mhm.
Redundancy, I think, has always been a key tenet of executive communication, right?
Yeah.
They say you tell people something 7 times before they act on it.
Or
And
before they actually hear it. Notice that
Right.
that was a message.
Right.
Who said that?
So and that's what I'm experiencing now. You have to do that in a very confined set of interactions, right? A
Mhm.
scheduled Zoom meeting, and you don't see another one of those for another week, and then
Right.
right. So you've got emails, the occasional phone call to follow up on something, um, So yeah, that's been what I've focused on more, and honestly, I think it's improved my communication in general, my
Mhm.
ability to encapsulate things and be comprehensive yet concise.
Yeah. I identify with that around I think it's the strength and the shadow, the passion that we have and the conviction with which we wanna share something. I think that comes with an energy and a pace that I get triggered when people try to slow me down.
Oh yeah,
And I sometimes see having to communicate thoroughly as slowing down, whether I should think that or not. That's how my body interprets it,
yeah. Well, I
and
feel you.
I get kind of peevy.
Yeah, yeah. I can, as you're saying that, I can feel in my gut exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, this morning even, we communicate a lot in Slack, and so I had totally admit this. It is easy to lose track of things when somebody posts and then somebody replies, and then 3 or 4 more people reply, and then I put a very important reply in that same string and someone misses it, and then they're like, "Wait, what about so and so?" And I'm like, "I put it in Slack."
which is the new version of as per my last email, right?
Exactly. And I'm listening to myself do this, and I'm like, "God, you're being a B word." It's like this. It's that we've got stuff to do here. It's like this gravity of pay attention, which isn't fair.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely pushing up against the limitations of a platform, right? Like
Yeah,
Slack.
yeah.
If Slack had a big arm that would come out and go slap you when you miss something, that'd be awesome. But it doesn't. You know, we do you use Monday.com. We use that,
So
right?
we dabbled in it, got a little bit of proficiency in it about 3 or 4 months ago. We got crazy on a couple. Now, why, when it got crazy, did we stop using it? I can't explain that. We're getting it rebuilt by somebody who actually knows what they're doing,
Oh, that's great.
and we're building in the automation. So using Zapier and those,
Yeah.
so I think that's gonna be transformational.
Yeah,
But
it's helping us a lot because
yeah.
they just added a lot of neat stuff to it, like a CRM and stuff, and that's right. That's helping us, and that is a pretty cool platform because it's very
Mhm.
customizable and you can make it fit. So maybe you can
Yeah.
put an arm there that'll come out and go,
Right.
pay attention. You missed this.
Do I need to submit a ticket for that to Monday? And then
Wouldn't hurt. Look at my ticket.
we could be super users.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's, I find myself learning, I'm pushing toward building a thing, but I'm learning so much about myself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a journey. It's part of the journey. Uh, as you've articulated, I've had this wild, eclectic professional journey. I can't call it a career because it's been a mishmash of several careers. And that's kind of forced me in different environments to examine who I am as a leader. I mean,
Mhm.
you leave the military, which is very structured, right? And
Yeah.
your authority is very much on the legitimate authority side, right? Where
Yes.
you have a rank and the title, and people stand up and call attention on deck when you walk into a room, and all that
Yes,
is
sir.
right.
Yeah.
And succession is extremely structured. You're going to be here for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, this person is going to be here, and you're not. You're going to a
Right.
new look, right? So all of that structure was. I'm not going to say the military is easy. It's not. It's a difficult role, and obviously, it comes with a lot of personal risk,
Mhm.
but it's structured. And in that structure, there's a certain ease of operations. When you step out of that structure into the social sector or the nonprofit world, now you're in this open canvas that you can do so much on. And in some ways, it's like, wow, I can express my creativity as a leader.
Mhm.
And in other ways, it's like, well, where do I hang this?
Yeah.
I've got these
Could
great
be
ideas,
paralyzing.
right? How
Yeah.
do we execute that? So,
Yeah.
having to reevaluate and reassess who I am and how I approach things, it's been wonderful because it's caused
Yeah.
me to grow. And you
Mhm.
know, now in my side hustle as a coach, I get to do that right now for
Yep.
other people, which is
Mhm.
really rewarding, and I can harness all that mistakes I made, things,
Yes.
you know, for other people so they can avoid them.
That's right. Did you always know that you would retire from the military and pursue something different, or what did you imagine would happen?
No, I mean, I imagined I'd leave the military and go into law school back when I was a lieutenant. You know, I never thought
Really?
never thought I'd make it a career. I didn't
Yeah.
have much confidence that I was a good military guy.
Mhm.
Um, uh, uh, I mean, for whatever reason, despite myself, I kept getting promoted, and that and that kind of raised my confidence over time. It's like, okay,
Like,
well, man,
Maybe there's something here after all."
maybe I do know what I'm doing, and I could bore you with some stories that just surprised me when I got
Yeah.
rankings and stuff. But the that's and originally I was going to get out, and then when I was successful at it, I kept doing it. And but then when
Mhm.
I got to Fort Worth, something different happened. You know, you could be the chief of staff of the Air Force or the chief of naval operations. You're going to get out at some point in your life,
Yes.
either on your own terms or in a box.
Mhm.
And so for me, I said, you know, this is my home. The Navy inexplicably sent me back to command a base that's in my home. And
Yeah.
when you have a base command tour, your stock is pretty high. If you don't mess it up, you get to meet the mayor and all these, you know, business leaders. And so I said, this, if I'm going to transition, this is probably the best time for me to do it.
Yeah.
I'm where I want to be. I'm where I know people. I'm coming out of a great role.
Yeah.
And so that's when I made the decision. But a lot of military leaders that have Pentagon time, like I did, they'll go and they'll market their Rolodex. Anybody still use those? But they'll market their contacts.
I'm old enough to know what you mean.
Me, yeah, Roger. Some people are out there. Hey, put it
I
in the
also
comments if you
know
know what a
I
Rolodex is.
also know what a MAPSCO is.
Okay, gosh, wow. So road trip.
Right.
But a lot of folks that leave those roles that have that in their background, they'll go over to Lockheed or Raytheon or Bell or Boeing, and they'll kind of hawk that for a job. And
Yeah.
I wanted to take what the Navy had taught me in 30 plus years and apply it to a continued service role. And
Mm.
that's why I went into nonprofits
Yeah.
intentionally, right?
Right.
Was to continue to lead. And it was been incredibly gratifying. I've had a wonderful life, a great professional career.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I can see the trajectory, but in your words, what in life and in your path has uniquely qualified you for the work that you're doing now?
Wow. It's funny because I don't ever feel qualified. You know, I mean, I look at every environment and I mean, maybe that's a characteristic of people that are type A personalities that find themselves in executive positions is you're your own worst critic.
Right.
You know, and it keeps you self-aware. You know, at
Mhm.
least it keeps you from having confidence turn into arrogance when you keep
That's true.
smacking yourself down.
Right.
But probably my very, very eclectic experiences.
Yeah.
You know, having had to uh, keep great cultures going in the
Mhm.
Navy.
Yeah.
In my command tour and a squadron tour, we actually lost an aircraft and almost lost a sailor in that accident. It was a
Mm.
aircraft fire, and you know that having to take a high performing unit from something like that's
Yeah.
crippling and then build them back up and
Wow.
having, as you articulated at the beginning of this, you know, similar kind of thing happening in the nonprofit sector. You know, when I got to United Way, kind of recreating that in a new environment of philanthropy that the
Mhm.
old model didn't fit in. And so those kind of very, very different experiences of births and rebirths and renewals,
Yeah.
that really taught me a lot.
Mhm.
And I don't want to say it taught me a lot from getting it right all the time. I did not. It taught me a lot from going, man, I wish I had done that differently.
Yeah.
You know, and somehow, you know, stumbled through and made the right course adjustments to have some success in them all. But yeah, I learned a lot in the school of hard knocks,
Yeah.
and that's what I like to pass on to folks now.
Absolutely. Well, I think the quicker we can utter those words, "I could have done that differently," the quicker we're on a path to solving.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that piece that blocks a lot of people because they just won't accept it. they don't want to say, oh, we're too invested in this, right? We've put too much into this method, and they'll just keep rowing in the wrong direction
Yep.
because they've already rowed a lot in that direction.
Mhm.
And, so that what you just said is very insightful. As soon as you can, boom, this is a sunk cost.
Yeah.
We're going in the wrong direction. We need to regroup and go that way. So, and, there are going to be people that disagree with you and second guess you too.
That's right.
That's one of the reasons why when Barbara and I came back from Salem, I didn't go back and look for another team to lead. I loved working on governance from this perspective. I didn't enjoy as much working with boards directly because I would come across some people that that just saw things differently, and to the extent that I found them obstructionist sometimes, and it's difficult work. I respect any executive out there working with a board, because it can be very difficult if you don't have the right people on the board that give you the right level of oversight and criticism.
That's right. Well, and that's something you're offering is a way for people to be educated around how to be great board members, which sometimes is being a little bit of a thorn in the side around something that the CEO may not want to address. But how do we do that in a way that brings people together instead of fracturing people?
Yeah, I mean, a self-aware chief executive will invite and want the right kind of feedback to say, hey, we're not aligned here with the mission of the organization, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the principal duties of a board member, is to keep you aligned with the mission. That's their duty of care and obedience. So that's important. And when you're a board member, there's a way to know how to do that, to know what's your role, to know what's not your role, right? They say board members should have their eyes on everything and their hands on nothing.
Yeah.
So that takes some training to understand that's your role. It takes some training to understand how to execute that in committee structures, how to handle yourself in meetings, how to read a nonprofit financial statement. All that is what BoardBuild empowers people to do.
Yeah.
And, it's funny. A lot of organizations make money providing training for nonprofit boards. Right? Training is the answer. Hey, if you train your board, you can make a bad board into a good board. Well, that's not true. It's not even remotely true. It's like if you take a lump of clay and you want to make a knife out of it. Well, no amount of sharpening is going to turn that clay into a knife. You can have it on the wheel a week and you're not going to get there because it's the wrong material to start with.
Yeah.
But if you start with the right material, if you start with the right members that are passionate, they're there for the right reasons, and they understand their duties, and they get up every morning thinking, how can I contribute to the organization to the mission of this awesome organization I'm with? Man, can you train them into a good board? You bet.
Yeah.
That's a whole different animal.
That's right. It's a good reminder, a good perspective on our expectations of what we think training, experience, and that goes to board members, employees. It's the recruitment cycle, right?
Yeah.
How we define our culture determines how we recruit. How we recruit determines who we bring in. It's the full spectrum.
It is the full spectrum, and it's a circle like that, right? Because you bring in those right people, and the culture starts to grow, and that attracts more of the right people. So, you've heard of a death spiral. When it's an aviation term, right? When a plane is locked in a spiral going downward toward the earth, and obviously it has catastrophic results when you follow that all the way through. But there's an upward spiral that happens too culturally when you lock in with the right membership in a board, and that lifts the organization. So
that's right.
That's the kind of spiral we want to be in.
Exactly. You said earlier when we were chatting, I could ask any question.
Fire away.
Okay. So this is something I've wondered, and probably a good way to conclude our conversation, though we can spin off of it if we want. So you went sailing for 6 months.
I went sailing for 3 years.
3 years. 3 years. Yeah. Okay. So what did you hope to find, and what did you find instead?
Wow. I hoped. We hoped. So Barbara and I. It's funny. When we first were married, I loved sailboats. I learned how to sail at the Naval Academy, and it was just something I always had in my head that someday I would want to go sailing. And she was not of that thought. She was raised in the Chesapeake Bay. She liked powerboats.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think it would happen. But then all of a sudden she started following this couple on YouTube who were putting their adventures out there on it.
Yeah.
And she fell in love with it. And I said, "Oh, wow, Barbara, that's really cool, but that's YouTube sailing." That's right.
Yeah.
That's Instagram sailing. You're not
Right.
seeing the sailors coming up with grease all over them from the engine room, or the
Yeah.
waves hitting because they got into weather.
Mhm.
So we decided to take classes. We learned how to do it together, and we said, yeah, we're out for adventure. And
Mhm.
so to get to the answer to your question, what we sought was adventure.
Mhm.
We sought while we're healthy enough. That's why
Yeah.
we didn't wait till we were older.
Mhm.
While we're healthy enough, we have our health. Our kids are still kids. They're off doing their own thing, but they're not having kids yet. So no grandkids.
Yeah.
There's this period in life where we can do this,
Yeah.
right? Adventure, free.
Mhm.
So we sought adventure. What we found was each other.
Mhm.
When you're out there by yourself with your spouse, just the two of you, there's no other captain or crew or experts, and stuff hits the fan, you
Mhm.
rely on each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hoisted Barbara 72 feet in the air on the mast to make a repair we had to make to get from the Bahamas to the Dominican Republic. And
Wow.
we just did that ourselves. And as a matter of fact, she tied this knot to make that happen. It's
Yeah.
called a Matthew Walker knot. And 6 months later, when we finally had the actual repair done by riggers and they took that line down, I cut the Matthew Walker knot out. And because you can't untie it. I mean, even with tools, you can't untie the thing. She did a masterful job. So I
Wow.
cut it, I snipped it. And then it's now hanging in our living room with a plaque that commemorates her repair that saved our sailing journey. So we went out for adventure. We found each other. I'm more in love with my wife now than I've ever been, and we can really solidly rely on each other. We never fight when things are really, really bad. We come together and we get it done. And we fight over stupid things.
Sure. We all do.
They're like, I can't remember why we're fighting. Yeah, I can't either.
Yeah.
Right. But we discovered that when it's bad, when we have to come together, we do.
Yeah.
And so that was the coolest thing we discovered.
That's amazing. What's something in that process that changed in you?
That's a good question. And I have the answer for that. And it surprised me a little bit. I've always been really impatient with the process, right?
Mhm.
When something goes bad, I'm just like, I'll overthink it, and I'll be just pissed
Mhm.
about it, and
Even fair. Yeah.
I can get in a funk for some time.
Mhm.
What the boat experience created in me was an ability to compartmentalize and go, hey, this is just a process. I mean, if you're
Mm.
going to get to the engine room in a boat, you have to remove like 6 things to get to it, and then you got to put those things back. It's ridiculous. It's got a lot of steps. It's it's labor intensive,
Yeah.
and but that created in me this new patience
Mhm.
with the process.
Yeah.
And with going through the process it takes to fix things. And so
Mhm.
now, I'll be like, okay, today is the day that I have to do this 12-step process. It's going to take me 13 hours. I might as well roll in on it now.
Yeah.
And it's much easier now than it was before the sailing
Yeah.
trip.
It sounds really meditative, and it makes me think about when life wasn't as easy as it is now. I mean, and this is sure completely wrong, but one of my thoughts around mental health crisis
Mhm.
is that so much of what used to take all of our time, whether it was taking care of your house or cooking or walking to wherever you needed to go or riding in a wagon, that time now is spent thinking and worrying and honestly stuff that's not life and death, but we make life and death.
Yeah.
And like
That's
that's what's coming up for me.
that's insightful because especially when you said a lot of that time is spent worrying, and maybe that's what really facilitated that for me on the boat because I didn't have time to worry, man. If I didn't get this fixed, we were adrift,
You had to be
right?
in
Uh,
that moment. It
uh,
takes the time that it takes. There's trust in that.
Yeah. Urgency breeds trust, right? Necessity is the mother of invention, they used to say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's very accurate. For me, being able to move and get stuff done certainly spurred me on to have to adopt that. But I guess there's repetition too.
Hmm.
After doing it a few times, I just realized, worrying gets me nowhere.
Yeah.
Worrying wastes my time and my energy. I mean, worry is an incredible sap
Yeah.
on your energy. So I think it's meditate. When you said that sounds meditative,
Hmm.
it took me back to the
Mm.
deck of that catamaran, and
Yeah.
Ma- Marianne, you would love that experience
Wow.
because from a meditative point of view,
Yeah.
being on the bow or the stern when the moon is lighting up the
Mm.
entire ocean and these ghosts are swimming underneath you, the dolphins, but they
Wow.
look like ghosts when the light is shining off of them and you can see them partially submerged. So it's just an amazing experience, and it really does cause you to contemplate.
Hmm.
A lot of things when you're out there in nature and in the wild,
Yeah.
that's where you are. There are no
Right.
rules out there, right? You're out there in the wild. You really do see yourself in contrast to the rest of the globe and the rest of the universe. It's kind of
Hmm.
cool.
That's amazing. Well, and to think then coming back after really a transformative experience like that, I would want to be like, hey, everybody, nothing that you're doing matters.
Yeah, it's it's true. If I had jumped right into the workforce, I probably would have made a step like that, which would have probably been good. It's like, oh, this guy's nuts, man.
Right.
You know,
I'll coach you because nothing matters.
it just doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, it's probably good that I spent the first several months just repairing the fence in our rental property and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did change my perspective
Yeah.
on what is important in life and a lot of things. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I miss it every day. It was a
I bet.
beautiful time in our lives, and I think we'll get a boat again someday, but we'll be doing it part time. We have grandkids now.
Right. Yeah.
Parents are getting
The
older.
window has passed where you can
Yeah,
go be irresponsible out on the ocean for 3 years.
it's true. Yeah, now we're back, and we've got. Although I kind of would like to be the crazy grandpa who the grandkids come and visit on the boat, and they get to. I've got this
Oh,
idea
yeah.
of going to one of the many deserted islands in the Bahamas and planting a real treasure there, like a year
Ooh.
before the grandkids come sailing, so it gets all old and crusty and full of
Oh,
bugs
I
and stuff.
love it.
Right, and then we'll magically find a bottle with a treasure map in it, and it will create an experience that they'll go back and maybe I should rethink this. They're going to go back and tell people about, and nobody's going to believe them.
Nobody's
So,
gonna believe them. I love it. But I mean, come on, that's fantastic. And
yeah,
you can do it actually.
yeah. If I was out there now, I'd already be doing it. But yeah, when we get back onto it, maybe.
That is so cool. Well, we'll look forward to reading the book that you write after you do that.
I need to. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love it. TD, what a joy to get to visit and hear about your work and everything that you're up to. Thank you for being here.
I am honored that you asked. I've been following you, really a fan of what you're doing there, and I appreciate the chance to be a small part of it today. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And so to close us out, tell us one book that maybe it's what you're reading right now or what you find to be so inspirational, and then a value that you hold dear and a daily practice. So start with book.
Okay, I just finished a book. I finished two of the last three I've read were worth mentioning. One is called The
Yeah.
Bomber Mafia. It's by Malcolm Gladwell,
Okay.
and it's kind of a departure from what he normally does.
Mhm.
It's a look at bombers, World War II bombing campaigns, but it is an incredibly insightful exploration into two very different leaders as the Air Force was being stood up. And from a
Wow.
leadership perspective, it's really illustrative. And it's Malcolm Gladwell, so it's a very entertaining book.
Absolutely.
Right, filled with that level of detail that you love of his. It doesn't bore you; it fascinates you.
Yes.
Right, so it's like that. That's a
Great.
really good one. And then Bill McRaven, who's a top level retired Navy SEAL that I loved his books. He had an audio version of Wisdom of the Bullfrog, which is a book that he's done that I found really, really insightful. So I don't
Okay.
only read books about military people, but this happened to be two of the
But
last
you
three I
recommend
read.
them. Yeah.
Those two I do, and there's some others too, but I can go on and on about that. So
That's great.
those are good. What was the other one you want to hear about?
So a value that you live by?
Authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter who you have been inspired by in your life, except how that impacts your authentic delivery of leadership. So don't try to model yourself after other leaders that you've known.
Mm-hmm.
Be inspired by their example, but then want to execute based on how you're wired. And that's really important. I think one of the first steps as a leader that's embarking on an improvement or development journey is self-assessment. Take some assessments, whether it's Clifton Strengths or DISC or something, and figure out how you're wired. Then you'll move forward with authenticity. And that authenticity, I think, is really key. Otherwise, the people that you expect to follow you will just see through you like cellophane.
That's right. That's right. And it speaks to exactly what we talked about. What are you uniquely prepared to do?
Yeah.
What has shaped you to the point that there's not anybody else that had the same experience and can deliver the same results?
Yeah. And I think your third thing was a daily habit, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So prayer, meditation, reflection, whatever category that puts you in based on your faith journey, is important. I do not spend enough time doing it, but I was inspired by a fellow I met recently named Oak McCullough. Oak has kept a journal since he was in 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
And he's now a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel that travels around. He's a speaker. He's written a great book called Your Leadership Legacy. But that cat has written in a journal every day since he was in 5th grade. You think he's got book material?
Oh, yeah, he does.
Right? And it's ready to go. He doesn't try to have to raise the gray matter and remember all that stuff. So that reflection, and if you can muster the discipline, journaling, it's a habit I wish I had done, and I recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, TD, for just bringing your best to the conversation today. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you, MaryAnn. Always a pleasure spending time with you.
Yes, and thank you, everybody, for joining Inner Work with the inimitable TD Smyers. We'll see everybody soon. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.